How to argue free market morality, pro-capitalism. Do you believe that capitalism is selfish, even immoral? Some say profit is about greed and hunger for money and power. They say that it helps the rich and hurts the poor. But, do they know why or why not? The free market can be seen as an economical, positive-sum game and as a morally strong economic behavior. Steps 1. Allow the free market to call for voluntary actions between individuals and yourself, for instance. No coercion is in play, even in the stock market, which some call casino capitalism, but that is another topic. In a free market, if someone wants something from you, someone has to do something for you, freely. For example, when I mow your lawn, you pay me $20 as agreed. What does that $20 in essence mean and do? Let's go to the grocer, and I say, I would like to have 4 pounds of meat. He, in effect, could say to me, you want a lot of people to serve you, ranchers, truckers, meat packers, marketers, butchers, and grocers. All these people have to be paid. So, what proof do you have of serving your fellow man? Well, I say, I mowed my fellow man's lawn. Imagine that grocer says, prove it. Then I give him the $20. 2. Think of money that you've earned as a certificate of performance in a free market. It's the proof that you or someone served your fellow man, for satisfaction of someone. 3. Decide whether the free market is lacking morality because people say it's a zero-sum game, like poker, where if you win, it means that I lose. But, is the free market a zero-sum game, winner, take all? Or, is it a positive-sum game, each contributor should receive consideration, something of value, depending on the situation in which you are involved? You do something good for me, such as give me that meat, and I'll do something good for you. I'll give you $20 that I earned by serving my fellow man. Then, I'm better off because I valued the food more than I valued the $20, and the grocer is better off because he valued the $20 more than he valued the food in the store. We both win. That's not winner, take all like a game of poker. 4. Realize it's the government, not the free market, that can cause a zero-sum game in our economy. If someone uses the government without serving others, not working or earning, to get housing, food stamps, a farm subsidy or a business bailout, that entity or person gets benefit, but that is at the expense of your fellow citizens who get nothing tangible in return. Isn't it more moral to allow people to serve their fellow man, if possible, in order to have a claim on what others produce, rather than to have a claim to services, goods, and dollars of others while not serving others in turn? Is that fair or moral? 5. Examine big business. What about corporations? Don't they have too much power over our lives? No, not in a free market, freely, not as in crony, capitalism, graft and corruption as politicians may spawn. Because in a free market we, the people, decide the profitability of the grocer, housing or other products of industries, any companies who want our business. Each transaction or exchange of work or goods is for services to others. Vote with your dollars. Free market customers will punish a corporation that does not satisfy them or who fails to use resources efficiently. Businesses, big and small, that wish to prosper are held accountable by the purchasers. But, again, it's the government that can disrupt and undo this positive-sum game, or can protect and support its free market. 6. Consider the example of the American automobile industry where positive action was undone by politicians' government. Car makers were struggling to survive in 2009. Why? Because they were producing cars that had not pleased a large enough number of their fellow men with desirable, valuable services and products. So, in a free market, they would freely have had to sell out in bankruptcy and go out of business. The market would have said, "Look, you're done. Sell your stock, plant and equipment to somebody who can do a better job." But when Chrysler and General Motors failed, they went to Washington, D.C., and big government interfered with the positive flow of the market and bailed them out in a government-created zero-sum game like poker, winner take all. The taxpayers, unavoidably, have their funds taken by force to pay for the bailout as ordered by a bankruptcy judge. 7. Check whether the government bailing out the auto industry said to car makers. You don't have to be accountable to customers and stockholders. So, no matter how inferior, undesirable your product is, and no matter how inefficient your systems are, will artificially, through coercion by government, keep you in business by taking your fellow man's money and giving it away. Realize that government was taking the power of the people found in the free market away from the people and rewarding companies that didn't compete successfully in the free marketplace. That may work out well for government due to interference by politicians, big unions, and corporate officers, but it seldom does good for the taxpayer. Free markets can work where there is limited government. Limited government allows you and I, the market, to decide which businesses survive. 8. Look for a more solvent system than the free market. People can work for the America that our founding fathers envisioned for limited government that has only a few specifically mentioned, enumerated powers that are listed in Article 1, Section 8 of the United States Constitution. It's obvious that limited government pattern produced the wealthiest nation in history. It is not perfect, but it may become more responsive by each one understanding and working on the potentials in one's own situations, goals. 9. Give and insist upon receiving just treatment in good faith, as each one seeks not his her own benefit only, but to measure things honestly, working to ensure a fair and balanced transactional win-win outcome together. Your ambition, work, and the voluntary effort as a citizen, not the government, would drive the economy in a free market. That is, each person, to the best of one's ability, would shape his/her own destiny. Does that sound moral to you? Tips. Consider whether you would want a little regulation by government to investigate and to arrest and prosecute business management and owners for racketeering, embezzlement, fraud, false advertising, selling dangerous products, causing deaths, etc. Some people want to level the playing field by stacking the deck by taxing the successful and their estates. Some politicians give funds to others such as free schooling, housing, food and various services paid by the few to benefit some who may or may not make good and worthy use of it, perhaps for benefit of their fellow man, in some give and take. Some use crony, capitalism contributions to grease the palms of politicians to get loopholes in the various laws including in tax laws to favor various powerful citizen organizations, special interest groups including educational, gaming, banking and financial institutions, professions, trades, unions and/or commercial interests in businesses.